still need to top up the nitrogen, but not significantly. It's not like going to use up an entire tank to get it up to where it needs to be. And definitely appreciating rounding off the edges here. This is really not going to take long at all. Obviously, not having the weed sensors means that it's not pulsing. The graphic view will always be it's either all on or all off, but we're adjusting how much we add depending on current levels versus need. This field is looking very nice now. Don't know if the barley... No, I don't think the barley needs it. That looks fairly green. I will keep the John Deere sprayer for herbicide. If we do any herbicide contracts, I don't plan to do any on our farm. However, that said, I could run out and use it on these grass fields just as a... Let's see if it alters the environmental score. It won't spray anything because there's no weeds, but there's the possibility that we could gain an environmental score benefit just because I drove around a field with a weed sprayer on. It's a bit... It's gaming the system, but hey, I'm a programmer, it's what we do. So I'm just going straight down this bit just so I've got a straight edge for the rest of the field. Although I didn't take a 180 course, I took a 210, so it's not entirely to line. Anyway, I can run down to this bit, spin around here. So we've got generally a good coverage. However, we do have some spots where it's heavily over. Well, for grass it's heavily over fertilised. Really not much I can do about that. It gets too wide, so I'm going to keep to the left. We're going to have to come back down. As I said, I put GPS on this so I could do it more efficiently, but on the whole I can see where I've been and where I need to go. And this is a good grounding for nitrogen if I do just decide this is a cover and let's just plant the maize on top of it. I don't think I can plant the maize directly on it with the direct drill. I think I'm going to have to... Oh, I can use a mulcher. I can mulch this in. Gets me the mulching bonus. And then run the direct drill over it to put maize into the field. And then once that's all done, see how much more nitrogen, how much more spraying we need, but it'll be a very quick application if anything. In your field prep, my belief is I don't want to oversaturate the field with nitrogen, because then I could end up with a situation that I have too much and my yield is going to be affected. And obviously, my belief is yield is more important than keeping politicians happy. Okay, from distance it looked like there's a little sliver just on the right here, but from the mini-map I'm not seeing it. Also I have a mark on my screen next to the end that makes it look like there's this moving patch of field that hasn't got fertilizer on it. Okay, hopefully this is wide enough to hit all of that. No, it's not. And done. So that's field number 2, and we're 59%. That's the biggest field. How are we doing? That's good. So now that I've got the extra opening on that corner, it means I don't have to go back through the yard or through this field to get out. This is going to be a little bit trickier, I think. And I may, after I've finished here, I may paint some grass in these corners so the field looks a little bit more like a field and less like a green painted plot of ground. Oh, that's the other thing we did. So our potato plants have started consolidating their crop, should we say. So potato plants are all luscious and green, and then the plant starts dying because what's happening is it's drawing all of the nutrients out of the leaves because it's done producing potatoes and drawing them into the potatoes to make the potatoes fatter. So we got a fairly big, I want to say it's 8 by, no it's not 8, it's fairly big. But I created one big deep planter and we planted potatoes in all of it. We planted 3 varieties of potatoes in all of it. And along the long edge, the ends, both ends, the plants have started sort of dying off. And the stuff in the middle is still big, luscious green, but that's a 3rd variety. So we harvested effectively 2 blocks of potatoes and probably about 2 to 3 pounds of potatoes, although we had to dig for them. But that's a good thing. We now have, last night we had roast potatoes and roast carrots from the garden. And chicken Kievs, which I think we've eaten all of them now. But we do have a lot more potatoes to harvest, and some that aren't ready, or we don't think are ready yet, which is nice. And then we have onions. Our peas were very sad. We didn't even get a full meal's worth of peas. But Mrs. Ose is going to plant some more peas, maybe this weekend. And she's also looking at, what's the other thing we want? Oh, green peppers and lettuce. Now, while we've had some limited success with carrots, I'm kind of... I prefer cooking or growing things like tomatoes, which we don't eat in vast quantities, but having a couple of tomato plants means if I'm having a homemade pizza, I could run out, pick a tomato, cut it into slices and have sliced tomato on my pizza, which sometimes I like doing. I can cut a tomato into slices and stick it in a sandwich or stick it on a burger or something like that. So I do like having stuff that I don't eat in vast quantities because it encourages me to eat it. I hate going to the store and buying tomatoes because I know that most of them won't get eaten and I'm going to end up throwing them away because they've gone bad. Sort of the same with lettuce. I love having a couple of lettuce plants in the garden so that I can go out, tear off a lettuce leaf, wash it, stick it in a sandwich. But I don't like buying lettuce because I don't eat all of it. I end up throwing a lot of it away because I don't eat it frequently enough to... maybe I should, but hey. But it's sort of having things in the garden that produce crops that you can just leave on the tree and pick when you want. It strikes me as a good plan. We've actually got... potatoes are incredible. I mean, I reckon we've probably got about 10 to 12 pounds of potatoes. Maybe more. Maybe not quite so much. Definitely we got a lot of funny shaped potatoes. But growing potatoes, we can actually make a good crop of potatoes, and I think it's worthwhile because it does result in a number of meals. Whereas peas, I'm not even with the amount of pea plants we grew, we're just not making a meal's worth of peas. Carrots, we kind of did okay. Onions are a good crop because you don't have you don't eat 10 onions in a meal, so it's like, well, I can go out, I can grab an onion, I can chop it up and I can saute it for my burger, or I can I can use up an onion or half an onion in a meal. And so if I've got 20 onions, that's 20-40 meals. And it's sort of it's kind of like a return on investment. How much effort do I need to put in to grow a bunch of pea plants and then I don't get a meal out of them, as opposed to how much effort do I have to put in for the same number of onion plants, and that's going to run to 4 or 5 meals, 10 meals, 20 meals, 40 meals. Same with green peppers. I can, green pepper shrub, I can grow green peppers, and the green peppers are going to go for 3 or 4 meals, because you don't eat, unless you're doing stuffed peppers, you're not, one or two good sized peppers is a chili, which will feed me for an entire week. And a pepper plant produces a few. Anyway, doing well. I've still got 32% of a tank left, so even though I didn't own this field and this field wasn't the greatest, because it's grass, it doesn't need a lot of nitrogen to bring it up to perfect levels. more field to do. And then we're finished driving this. I suppose I could have a look around. Kind of cool. And we're at the edge of the field, so I probably need to have a look around again. Now, if I'm lucky, when we do harvest the canola, we might be able to discern where the bees are having an effect and where they're not. Because the yield should be fairly consistent across the size of the field. Or across the field. It changes where the soil changes. But we'll have the yield penalty because we didn't plough the field and various other things. But if the only thing in a circle is a beehive, then there should potentially, I don't think it's a very big difference, but there should potentially be a discernible circle of yield boost because of the bees. Okay, that's done. I'm still thinking about chopping down that hedgerow on the other side of that shed. Maybe not along the edge of the shed, but where there's the gaps. So I think it'll look good. And it'll give me access to the yard earlier than having to go all the way around. Okay, last field and 25%. I think this is going to work out no trouble. So, good fun here. Big giant sprayer. Yeah, I think the tractor hauled sprayer has a maximum speed of about 9 miles an hour. And there you have it. Maybe I wasted money on GPS. And the tractor kind of needs it because the tractor can be used for other jobs. Though herbicide, if you leave it late enough that you're having to spray a field, then you can actually see the weeds as you go. I wonder if precision farming will be incorporated into 25, or whether they're going to delay it as a DLC later in the year. I would like to see it as part of the game, because that way any new crops that they add, sort of platinum expansion, premium expansion, whatever expansion they have for 25, will be incorporated into precision farming if it's part of the base game. And that's one of my issues, if you like. You're stuck on the edge. Okay. One of my issues with the premium expansion, they added the new root crops, the red onions, the radishes, and the carrots, but they're not. They don't work with precision, or they're not. Precision farming doesn't support them because it's a year 1 DLC, or not even patch. What do they call them? It's a year 1 mod. So what we've ended up with is the root crops just, they don't work for environmental scores. You can fudge them into having an environmental score, but typically they're going to end up with a bad result because of the way you plant them. You can't achieve, you can't achieve the good scores. It's kind of like with grass. Grass is, you don't want to be doing a grass farm if you're doing precision farming, because there's so much of a penalty when you're going the grass. Anyway, last pass, and we have 10% left. So what else was I thinking I needed to do today? Game day, it's 2:30 in the afternoon now, so basically got about 6 hours, and then everything's going to get rained off. Do have a lot of liquid spray though. I wonder. Oh, there's a lot of cultivating to do. Now, I don't know what pieces of equipment to use for cultivating. We've got our little cultivator. There's liming contracts. Don't have a lot of lime. Liming contracts do take a lot. And ploughing. Yeah. So nothing needs fertilising. We could spray lime, we could go plough, or we could go cultivate. Of all of those, lime probably takes the least amount of time to do it. Unfortunately, it takes probably the most amount of time to finish the contract, because you're going to have to run back and reload the spreader far too frequently. Cultivating's fairly easy, and you can get a good working width. Ploughing, I don't think subsoilers work for ploughing. I could test that, but I don't want to be penalised for taking a contract and not doing it. So we can overload that. That's emptied. And I think that's done. So I'm going to stay in this vehicle for a minute. I think I am going to need another silo at some point. And I'm probably going to put it on the left side here. And I might put a small equipment shed on the right side, possibly facing the house, so that I've got somewhere to put the roller. I might leave the auger out, because sheds are going to be awkward for that. I don't think I can lower it. We've also got the wheel loaders tools. I don't have the wheel loader put away. That's down at the store at the moment. So I need somewhere to put the wheel loader. I could put the wheel loader and the telehandler in the same little shed, and maybe just have a shed here where the auger is, that all of the silage working equipment is stored. I'm then considering opposite this shed here, I would like another shed, which is why I haven't chopped that hedge out yet, because I'd like another shed do I do it? Do that, and I get an error. I'd like another shed in here, and then I'd leave the hedge alongside the shed. Make a gap here, leave the hedge alongside these two sheds, and take out a little bit of the hedge there so that you can come straight in there. So that's thoughts for the farm. We've now chopped the trees down and made ourselves a passage into that grass field. So we've now got one into there, and the original one over by the silo. I do want to take down the machine shed and put a machine shop, probably a smaller machine shop, but then in theory I might be able to put a cattle or dairy house here, grow some cows, take some of the hedges down and just put up a cattle shed, and that will be kind of a good thing to have. And then we can get our pasteurized milk, which I presume is an operation of the dairy. Wouldn't be surprised if the dairy can make cream or whatever. That's gonna have a quick look at what's on sale, because obviously we did that. Okay, front loader. I wish this had combinations on it so I could find combinations for these. There's a bale trailer, nice. There's a tiny planter, it is a planter, and a big giant industrial forklift. Okay, did that. So, stuff I need to do. Let's see what sheds are around, because we didn't. Whoa, that's a big shed. Yeah, not building sheds. Yes, building sheds. That's, whoa. That's also a big shed, and I don't have enough money for it. Wow. 106, that's a smaller shed. Still kind of pricey, but it does have bays and a door. Shelter with a solar roof. Big wooden shed. That's also got, that's got doors at each end, and maybe not seeing a door in the front, but anyway, there's the easy sheds, which are kind of easy. There's that shed, which is, whoa, open front, no. Yeah, open front. Platinum expansion sheds. That's a garage. That's a shelter. See, that's big and makes money. 2,400 a month. So we get paid for having that, but I don't have the money for that one. Old brick building pack. You've got